What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to StaleMates. Let's go. Let's go. Another week. I like that.
We're back, baby.
How you feeling, Tyler?
I'm good. Good to be back in the studio. It's been fun getting to do this every week and check in.
We haven't really been missing, which is good. Every Sunday, I'm like laying in bed and I'm like thinking, is this a week that we're gonna miss? But
or
we
is there
don't.
Gonna be nothing to talk about? But there
Yeah.
always is.
Well, there's always something to talk about in wrestling, of course, and that's thanks to the Twitter streets, the forums. Shout out to everybody that talks on those things, kind of stirs up the drama, the storylines. We all love the sport. At the end of the day, it's all in good fun and games for most of us. Some people, it's a little bit serious in that, and we're going to talk about some of those topics this week. But before we get into that, this show is presented by Barbarian Apparel. It's also presented by our Patreon members. If you're not a Patreon member yet, you might give it a thought. It's $3.99. It is pretty cheap compared to other paywalls in the sport. We support all different paywalls, whether you're on Rockfin, whether you're on Patreon, whether you're on Flow even, Big Ten Plus, ESPN Plus. Maybe we'll call our StaleMates Plus. But for now, it's just a Patreon fam. So if you're not a part of that, we encourage you to jump on there. We like to use the money that we get from that to do different things like StaleMates Street League, fund some of our trips that we do, and at the end of the day, it just goes back into this show. So we appreciate you. If you already are on there, if you already are on our Patreon, or you're already a Patreon member, there is a Patreon-only version of this episode where we talk about 3 extra topics. So if you want to check that out, scroll down, click the link. We already talked about Barbarian Apparel. You guys know. You see the hats. I'm not wearing a Barbarian sweatshirt right now. I'm just wearing a blank one. I should be wearing a Barbarian sweatshirt, but your boy's got to do some laundry. So Barbarian Apparel, if you guys need a custom team store for this upcoming season, we highly encourage you to check out the good folks at Barbarian Apparel because they help us make our dreams come true, and they can do the same for you. So if you need something from Josh and Barbarian, scroll down, click the link, hit them up, and they'll make sure to get you looking fresh for this upcoming season. We're also presented by SPYDER Matte Tape and Above and Beyond Wash and Seal. If you guys need good matte tape, SPYDER Matte Tape's the way to go. If you guys need a new custom floor and you live in the state of Iowa, it doesn't have to be custom. It could just be a plain floor. The best in the business, Above and Beyond Wash and Seal. Go check them out. Without further ado, Tyler, is there anything you want to say for the show, I guess? I never really asked you that, but I guess I'll ask you right now.
No, we're good. I think we can just dive right into this one.
All right, well, let's get into this week's episode. Roll the intro. Okay, so you guys can see we got our 4 topics at the bottom. We're going to talk about Michael Kemerer. We're going to talk about Iran. A little foreign policy on this show. That's the first. Edmond Ruth. That's our good feel-good story of the week. And then Downey and Bellator. You guys don't like when we talk about Downey. This is something, though, that we have to talk about. I feel like it's kind of the closing chapter in wrestling. So we'll send Downey off with fill in the blank on how you want to send him off. But we're going to talk about that at the end there. You guys know, though, you guys had to figure that this Kemerer story was probably the lead story. And so we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. Tyler, do you have the docket up real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Let me rewind a little bit. This goes back a little bit. So if you guys remember last show, we talked about how our friend of the show, I actually tried to get him on the show this week. It didn't work out. I told him when the time is right, he can come on the show. The time was not right this week, but our friend, Pat Minio, put out this tweet that said that Michael Kemerer was going to be retired, which ended up not being true. It ended up not being accurate. And I think it had, you can call me crazy, but I think it had a little bit to do with why we saw Kemerer wrestle on Friday and Sunday.
I was wondering the same thing, honestly. They're just trying to like play with with the waves of like information coming out?
I think that the Brands brothers, or maybe just the Iowa camp in general, pays attention to, as we like to say, the streets a little bit more than we might think.
Oh, for sure.
They definitely saw Pat's tweet.
Yeah.
They definitely been paying attention a little bit.
Well, and I'm sure they had lots of people hitting him up after, but talking about both Spencer and Kemerer. I'm sure like
the fact that
everybody involved were.
The fact that Kemerer put out, that Pat was capping per se.
Yeah.
Stop the cap.
There it is. Then I think that probably made it even more on their radar.
Mm-hmm.
But Pat puts his tweet out saying that Kemerer's retired. Kemerer ends up saying that's news to me. Goodwin kind of jumps in there, dunks on him as well.
Yeah.
And at that point, I wasn't actually fully convinced still that Kemerer was going to be retired.
Right.
Without revealing too much there. But I think Pat maybe jumped the gun a little bit. It ended up not being true. He ended up wrestling on Friday. But I think that, when I say jump the gun, I think Pat jumped the gun. And I don't know if the big debut of Kemerer would have happened this soon had that tweet not been sent out. And I think that was their way of kind of dunking on Pat a little bit.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think it probably expedited him coming back, or just specifically this week with the timing of it. I'm sure it had to play some part in it.
And maybe not. Maybe Kemerer was supposed to always go just second semester only.
Yeah.
As far as I know, though, it seems like all signs are pointing that Kemerer wasn't going to be in the lineup for a while then. And then to send him out there on like a Friday, Sunday slated dual weekend was pretty shocking for me to see.
Against ranked opponents, too.
The first guy I don't think was ranked. The second guy was ranked. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, either way, he wrestled good.
Right, he wrestled really good. Yeah. The second dude, I can't pronounce his name, Nijenhouse?
It's a crazy name. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't want to look it up. But Garrett something. He wrestles for Purdue. And no, he's ranked. He just had a good win over Wisconsin, so he was kind of looking to have himself a big weekend, and then I don't think he was ready to wrestle Kemerer. But we're not really here to talk about the wrestling side of things in terms of this whole Kemerer thing.
Yeah.
All signs pointed that Swofford was going to be the guy up until March. And this is kind of all coming from Minio. So we know that his original source on this was wrong. And I don't know if it's the same source or not. I truly believe that Pat did believe that Kemerer wasn't going to wrestle. But I can't blame Pat for believing that, because they burned Swofford's red shirt the weekend before at the Southern Scuffle. Right. He wrestled in an Iowa singlet. And if you guys know this, if you wrestle in an actual team singlet, then that burns your red shirt. That's why when you see guys wrestle unattached, they're wearing a random singlet that they had from growing up or whatever. So that burned his red shirt. Then on top of that, you have the promo video, the little presser. It's actually in the docket. Can you pull that up? They ran this little it's like a little interview that they did there with Swofford before the dual meet. So all signs did lead, and we'll play these videos. All signs did lead that Swofford was going to be the guy, and Kemerer was not going to be the guy. So it's not just Minio being Minio or whatever you want to say. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of signs that Swofford was supposed to be the guy, especially this weekend, especially Friday. Can you go ahead and play this Swofford clip?
Yeah.
You don't have to, how long is it?
It's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead and play it. Maybe. Let's see here. Our internet is not doing well right now. All right, here we go. Where's the sound there?
Southern Scuffle was actually a pretty surreal moment for me. It was, it's like you said, it's like a lifelong dream of mine.
Brendan, have you prepared yourself for the moment where you might run through that tunnel after 14,000 Hawkeye fans at Carver?
Yeah, I've been kind of running it through my head, all week, and just, I'm prepared, for whatever happens.
Do you have a walkout song picked out?
I've been scrambling like all week, but I actually just got a walkout song picked. Like right before this. I'm gonna keep it secret.
right.
Yeah, like putting.
So that right there shows that.
Oh yeah.
He was supposed to be the storyline for the week. If you guys don't know, Brendan Swafford was a national champion, maybe I think 2-time national champion for Graceland.
Yeah.
Just a feel-good story. You know, the guy was at Graceland, 2-time national champion, felt like he had done all that he could at that level. And, you know, he's going to go on and wrestle and fulfill his dreams of running out in front of all those fans, those 13,000 fans or whatever it is, Carver Hawkeye Arena. He was going to be the guy. Mm-hmm. Then the more you kind of look into this, the more you think they're trying to dunk on him. Now, I'm not saying that this like clears Mineo of like I think Mineo was at the end of the day he was wrong. He was wrong about Kemerer not wrestling. I think he kind of jumped the gun a little bit. He did have information, but he jumped the gun. And I think because he jumped the gun, they wanted to bury him a little bit. And this clip of Tom Brands at the press conference afterwards, I kind of asked why they decided to go with Kemerer. If you listen to the language that he says, I think it kind of proves our point a little bit. Which at the end of the day, this makes for good drama, in my opinion.
What went into the decision to go with Mike Kemerer tonight?
I don't know what he told you. It's his decision. And people and fans and detractors, probably more so, would say that may be reckless. But he's a seventh-year guy, and it's his call.
Detractors.
Yeah.
Does that mean because you trust him a lot more?
It's because here's the thing: show us something. So somebody show us something. Show us that you want to go, and I want to go.
So, whether that's Kemerer saying I want to go because Kemerer wanted to dunk on Mr. Pat Mineo, or Tom Brands, but at the end of the day, it's Tom's call, and the fact that Tom's saying detractors,
Yeah.
that's got to be a shot at Pat.
I think so. I think they're definitely in tune to like what they see and what information's been put out there, especially with where Pat's got himself to now. And I feel like they just wanted to literally troll him a little bit.
I think it was a little bit of a troll job.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Swafford had a good response. So Brendan's brother, Josh Swafford, also a friend of the show. He runs an amazing site, puts a lot of work into this wrestling media company, kind of more local to Iowa, called Pen Doctors. The dude knows his stuff. The dude actually, he wrote on a forum one time about one of my matches. If he's going back and looking up homework on my matches, and I was like, as relevant as it gets in wrestling, that means the guy does his homework.
Yeah.
With all that said, he did not feel the same way that a lot of people felt with Kemerer running out there. A lot of people were excited that Kemerer goes out there, and I get it. It's his brother. It's his big moment. If you really want to do some research and go look at Pen Doctors, they were like celebrating beforehand, like they were in this like super mood that their brother was going to go out there and wrestle. They were playing guitar and like their harmonica and singing, like they were like doing some sort of pre-match like nerves thing, because they believed that his brother Brendan Swafford was going to go out there and wrestle. So it wasn't just and
like they must have not known it all until like literally it was time for 174, just judging from the reaction and everything like that.
Right.
But
He was pretty upset. Do you want to pull up this is a comment from the wrestling movement.
Pat says, "Hello, transfer portal."
And Swafford says, if there's no explanation, then this is hands down the most effed over my family's ever been by anyone. That's
a big claim.
And then can you pull up what Brennan said? Because he had a good tweet.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's fully aware, I still love being a Hawkeye and fully support my teammates regardless of what you may have read. So, at the end of the day, I think there was a lot of emotions involved, but I don't think that Brennan's going anywhere.
No.
I think Kemerer, was probably going to wrestle the whole time, but I think that they definitely it seems like they were trying to punk Pat a little bit by throwing him out there at that time.
Yeah. 100%.
Like, I think that
agree.
up that whole week, it was Swafford. And I don't think they would have burned Swafford's red shirt for this thing.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and they had all the media prepped and everything too, with like what's a good storyline for the week and everything like that. I don't think they're going to put in much effort to change that unless they're wanting to prove a point to someone.
And I think that they did prove a point a little bit. However, I think Pat's going to come back stronger, and you're going to see.
Stop him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Iowa fans hate Pat.
Yeah.
I tried to get him on the show this week. I feel like some people are kind of coming around on him a little bit. You guys know that I've defended Pat multiple times on this show. We don't always see eye to eye, but I think Pat, at the end of the day, has his heart in the right place. I'm gonna get killed for saying a lot of this, but I don't really care. I don't care. He's been good to us. That's all I care about. But you know, he keeps it interesting. You know, and that's what our show's about, is keeping things interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And it sucks because I don't think he's ever going to be able to make it to Iowa at this point either.
I think we can make it happen.
Yeah. I don't know.
I hope so. I think
It runs deep somehow between the Hawkeye community and Pat Mineo.
The Hawkeye fan base is...
They do not like him.
No. Good. I mean, I'm glad we've never really been on the receiving end of the Hawks.
Yeah, we've been cutting it close.
Yeah, a little bit. We've had a couple comments.
People are starting to notice.
Yeah. If you guys are listening to this, by the way, can you guys go ahead and hit subscribe? We just hit 3,000 subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can you hit a... Yeah, maybe an air horn maybe? There we go. Thank you guys. Thank you for subscribing to StaleMates. It's been a fun ride. It's been we're coming up on 2 years, and we've hit 3,000 subscribers. We really want to hit 10,000. Like, to see that 10K would be amazing, and we can't do it if you guys don't hit subscribe. So that's the easiest way. We talk about Patreon and buying the merch and spending money and stuff with us. That goes a really far ways. But the biggest thing that you can do without taking your wallets out is hitting subscribe, dropping a comment, a like or anything. Also, if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or however you listen to your audio-only version of this show, which you can do, leave us a review on there. Let us know. Let us know what you guys think. And that'll also help us as well. All these metrics are great for us in terms of like seeing how far the show has gone. So I won't beg you anymore, but I ask you nicely if you guys could please do that. Okay, let's get into the next topic here. Iran. Did you see this, Tyler?
I did. Yeah, I didn't look too deep into it, but I got the gist of it.
Pull that tweet up really quick. So you go ahead and read it.
Breaking Iranian Regime's Wrestling Federation calls for violent death to America before U.S. wrestling duel meet with Iranian team in February in Texas, with expert comments by people.
Say the names.
Sardar Pache, Laden Barzagan.
All right.
I feel like there's got to be some kind of misinterpretation, which I haven't looked at any articles or anything, but I've just seen people upset about it.
I found some information on the mat.com. I did some digging. That's how, if you know, if I go to the mat.com, that I did some freaking digging. Yeah. Not just Twitter and the wrestling room, which shout out to both those, but I went even farther. When I first read this, I kind of had, I put up a joking tweet like, yo, this is not how we, talk around. It's not how we trash talk around here. I took it as like sometimes in different languages, there's these different nuances that don't translate over well.
Just the way it interprets.
Yeah. Like if I'm a Packers fan, right? If I'm going to say we're going to kill the Chicago Bears, well, that sounds...
On paper, that could look violent.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what we have here. Can you pull up the clip there? This is what I found. Yeah, go ahead and click that really quick.
This looks sketchy to click on.
Yep.
من همیشه میگیم مرگ بر آمریکا، ولی مهمتر از مرگ بر آمریکا عملشه. یعنی اون دکتری که حتی کروات زده، اینو بذارید، اون دکتری که حتی کروات زده کارشو داره خوب انجام میده، به نظر اون داره میگه مرگ بر آمریکا. خیلی اصلا حرف میزنن کار نمیکنن. عمل باشه. باید با کار ما به دنیا ثابت کنیم.
Okay, so can you read that though for the people that are listening? That tweet underneath there, what that says?
More important than the slogan of death to the U.S. is to act on it, said the president of the Iran Wrestling Federation. With his U.S. green card in his pocket, he is trying to get visas for members of the Iran wrestling team.
Okay, and scroll down for me. Keep going.
I wonder who that is.
He unblocked us, by the way.
Nice.
For a second time.
This one? Another one? Or
keep going down. I had it, so if you clicked it, it would automatically pull it up. All right. Wait, where'd it go? Wait, go back up. All right, you're all over the place. Scroll up. All right, right here. Scroll down a little bit so I can see it. All right, so he says, so this is on the mat.com. Someone was like, can you guys, can anybody, like, I think that's from Iran, like, tell us what's going on here. Like, translate it for us Americans in a way that doesn't sound so messed up. And this user by the name of, can you scroll up a little bit so we can see the username?
Restfan.
Restfan. Okay, so scroll down. Go ahead and read that.
Death to America. Yes, that's the exact word he is using. It's hard to explain for non-Iranian people, but nowadays it has a different meaning after being used for 40 years. Obviously, a country can't die. It's just a slogan. A disgusting one, without a doubt. If you listen to the whole interview, in that part, he is talking about something like, if everybody does his job, our country will be good, and that way we can beat U.S. policy against Iran. When he says act on it, he doesn't mean killing America. He means doing your job as a doctor or whatever job you are doing to make the country better and show the USA that we can live under your very strict sanctions. Yeah. And then it keeps going for a while. But so kind of what we thought.
Well, and then at the end there's that last sentence.
And by the way, DeBeer isn't just a former wrestler. He was into politics before, so no, he is not under pressure. Nobody is really. He says these kind of things sometimes. He pretends to be super religious. I don't believe he is. He just pretends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what level of political awareness that they have, but this is probably not the most wisest thing to say in this climate is death to America. However, again, we don't really know these little nuances. I've seen some people like kind of advocating that we don't let the Iranian wrestling team in here. I really hope that doesn't happen because I think we might be going down there, and I really want to see it happen. However, at the expense of what? But I believe that what this guy is saying is true, and that's kind of the interpretation that I had when I first read it. Was like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you in this. It's like, okay, well, I mean, it doesn't mean I'm gonna literally end your life.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? And when he's saying,
kind of just been like programmed though to like, I feel like take those literal interpretations when it's like Iran and then something with like death threats and stuff like that. I feel like a little bit it's kind of been programmed into us to react that way.
Right, and like I don't blame people for reacting this way, but I think it's a little bit out of context. But it is crazy how passionate that they are about hating on the U.S.
Yeah, I think they have the strongest fan base for most of the wrestling worlds I've seen anyway.
Iran and India. The India people are wild
crazy.
Too.
Yeah.
Maybe us Americans have to get on their level a little bit and saying death to Iran.
Yeah, we literally have to kill the countries.
we just got monetized on YouTube. I don't know if we could be yelling death to Iran on here. Oh, wait, hit that one. Hit that one.
Those rat bastards.
There we go.
The YouTube mods are out for us.
Yeah. So
those rat bastards.
There we go. So Iran, if you're listening, Tyler, hit that real quick.
Those rat bastards.
That's what we think of you. One more time.
To you.
Those rat bastards.
There we go. Gunshot. Boom. Oh, that might get pulled off YouTube if we do that. We keep doing that, and we talk about Iran and hit. Okay. Okay. All right. Next topic. This is something that's kind of getting overlooked.
Yeah.
At the Matman Open, everybody was talking about the whole Corby and Willie fallout. They lost their eyeballs. They lost their vision. And all of a sudden, we forgot to talk about Edmond Ruth.
Old Edmond Ruth.
This is Ed Ruth's brother, if you couldn't tell by the name. And this kid, he should get a 30 for 30 or something like that. Maybe we could, I don't know, maybe we could find out a way to do something. But I think that I love seeing this kind of stuff. I said that we were going to do the, feel good story of the week. We did it for a couple weeks. The past few weeks have been pretty toxic over here. We've been talking about people breaking up. We've been talking about people fighting. We've been talking about, leaking information and all that stuff. But this is a feel good story, and it doesn't start that way. Tyler, can you kind of tell people what happened here?
Yeah, which I'd known about him already just because he's been doing good at opens this past year, and I never realized this part of his background story where he completed high school and he was going to Lehigh at first, and then he pulled out not very long after starting, and then later on in the year.
Wait, why though?
What did they say?
Did you read it?
No, I read it.
Why did he get pulled over?
Oh,
yeah, you haven't told the people yet why he got kicked out of Lehigh.
Oh, I thought they were separate things though. Like he left because deferred eligibility due to the coronavirus pandemic. And
yeah,
I don't think he was wrestling at all, and then he got arrested for the drug charges.
Right. Yeah, I actually tried to look this up and try to figure out what the actual timeline was. The main thing is that he was supposed to go to Lehigh. He was a big recruit out of high school, Pennsylvania. I think he was a 2-time state champ, 4-time placer, and supposed to go to Lehigh. And he eventually gets caught up. He runs a red light. He's got weed, a jar of weed in the car.
He's got some mushrooms in there.
Some mushrooms. This young gentleman was just trying to have a good time, And he gets caught up by the 12, and essentially gets kicked out of Lehigh. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was going to Lehigh, took a break to do
just from athletics.
Yeah, for COVID reasons, and then he ends up getting himself in some legal trouble. Then he takes it upon himself. I know you're like, this is supposed to be the feel-good story. You're talking about this young kid getting arrested, right? But let me say this too. They originally, and I remember when this article came out, they had him like on some meth charges, and I remember reading that thinking, because I thought it was Ed Ruth,
right,
who's had his run-ins with the law a little bit, but I thought it was Ed Ruth. I was like, Ed Ruth is like selling meth? That's what they originally came out and said. Upon further research, the meth thing I think was fake news or like something along the lines, like they just like dropped it, and it's like the meth thing was like a lie or a fabrication.
Yeah, because there's like a whole editor's note on here about like some charges that were originally wrote and they were edited out because they turned out to be false or like thrown out.
They should say meth. You can't just be like, hey, some charges. It's like, no, the meth thing was a lie.
Not doing that meth part. Yeah.
Weed and mushrooms are a completely different ballgame than meth when it comes to getting in trouble. And just in general in life, I think you could find more people who have had fun with weed and mushrooms than meth.
Probably, yeah. They're probably into more wholesome activities than the meth guy.
Yeah,
you'd think
for sure, 100%. Hit the stop the cat button.
Stop the cap.
Thank you.
Not meth.
Not meth. This is not a meth podcast.
Stupid.
Or a mushroom and weed podcast. This is brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Just reporters.
Yeah, we're just reporting. Anyways, he gets pulled over. He gets in trouble. Then, does nowhere to wrestle. He's supposed to go to Lehigh, get this amazing education, and his life is not looking so hot. This dude literally wrestles his way back into another Division I school, a Big Ten one at that. This guy goes and wrestles at the Matman Open. He beats my boy Manny Rojas, future Cyclone. Been cheering for him. He was looking good. And Manny and him, they wrestle. Edmond wins. I think Edmond ends up winning the Matman Open.
Yeah.
And now he's joining his brother Ed at Illinois. Can you pull that up?
Yeah. I like that they used like the same exact picture from the article from years before.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same website or not, but that's a good point.
It is. Yeah, so he committed to Illinois.
Yeah. So can you do like hit the what?
They got me on the subscriber block.
Yeah, don't pay for that.
Yeah.
Hit the applause and the air horn and all that. Yeah. So shout out to Edmond Ruth. We like to see these guys doing that. I love a good feel-good story.
Mm-hmm. I'd seen after he'd won the Matman that he was still uncommitted, and I remembered that Edmond Ruth was now at the coaching staff at Illinois, so I was like, why wouldn't he just go to Illinois?
I remember seeing him thinking like if he wins this Batman Open, which had a lot of hype behind it, this is gonna land him somewhere. I didn't think it would be a Big Ten school, but one more air horn for your boy.
Got it.
Yeah. So congrats to you, Edmond Ruth. I'm cheering for you. If there's anything that we can do, let us know. We'd love to do like a little episode about it. It'd be great. And I think the court case is still ongoing, but it seems like it's. I know that the felonies are gone and it's going to be dropped down to misdemeanors.
Yeah, it must be in a good place if he's able to do these things at this point.
An air horn for his lawyer too for that.
It's a good lawyer.
All right. Next topic here. Let's move on. Let's see here. Downey. I don't like talking about Downey.
We somehow always talk about him.
I know. But I think that we should. This is the official retirement of Pat Downey being talked about on our show.
Maybe. It's it feels like a chapter closing. We'll
Maybe.
see.
I mean, this has been in the works for a long time that Downey was supposed to go this MMA world.
Right.
He's totally going to skip the whole underground scene and go straight to the big leagues. If you guys don't pay attention to MMA, there's UFC's the main one, and then right behind it is Bellator. A lot of times in Bellator, you see really young prospects, or you see kind of retired UFC champions, retired UFC vets. Regardless, they pay pretty well. I don't know what his deal looks like, but Pat Downey signed with Bellator. I think that we should sue Bellator because he's he signed a contract with us. He hasn't fulfilled it yet.
Right. Yeah, they got to see him fulfill that contract through first.
Scott Coker, man, give us a call.
I don't know.
We have to release him. We have to release him first. Right?
Right. Yeah. I don't even know what to make of this. Like, part of me doesn't want to believe it.
Why?
It just seems like, it's like a sudden jump. And, like, I don't even feel like he's really established even in, like, he's been doing, like, jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff like that. But just in mixed martial arts at all, I don't feel like he's that established.
I want to talk about a little misconception that we've heard. And, I kind of had this opinion at first, but the more I pay attention to the MMA world, the more I kind of don't believe what some people are saying. A lot of people talk about wrestling media and say that, or just wrestling fans in general or wrestling culture, that we don't like bad boys in the sport. We don't like people like Downey. If Downey was in the MMA world, that we wouldn't even be talking about some of the things that he does. I don't think that a lot of you guys know the MMA media. I don't think that you're watching guys like Ariel Helwani. I don't think that you guys are watching guys like Mark Raimundo or Raimondo. I don't remember how you say his name. He's an ESPN guy. They've already put out a little article about Pat, and they're calling him a polarizing guy in the sport. I don't know if I included it on there, but I could. ESPN put it out there. We could. I don't know if we could pull it up right now, but they've already put out an article about Pat being signed to Bellator, and they included his felony charges of him getting, punching the guy. He knocked out somebody's a student in Baltimore or something like that. Okay. Allegedly, I don't know if he ever got charged. So we're just gonna throw out the word allegedly out there. Pat allegedly got in a fight and knocked out somebody's teeth and this and that. You guys already know this stuff, so I'm not bringing anything new to light. They also talked about him getting kicked out of Iowa State. They failed to mention that he didn't show up for his match on Street League 1. So hit top rat bastards for me one time.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Media.
Dang, wrestling or MMA media. However, my point is, I don't think they're going to be as forgiving as a lot of people say. When there's more money involved, when there's corporate sponsors involved, when there's way more eyes on the sport in MMA than wrestling currently, I don't think it's going to be as forgiving as a lot of you think. And we're going to find out. I hope it goes well for Mr. Pat. I'm not one to, stop the shine for some people. All I'm saying is I feel like it's not going to be as forgiving as a lot of people think. I think there's a lot of future headlines in the future for Pat. I think that he's going to have to win. If he wins, this all will work out very nicely for him because he is a polarizing guy. The more that he wins, the better he does, the more he's going to get paid, because if there's one thing Pat doesn't lack, it is the entertainment factor. And that is why we continue to talk about him on his show. Whenever we talk about him, some people don't like it. Some people reach out, they say quit talking about him. When Pat gets posted on multiple forums for running scams or whatever he does, allegedly, the comments are always quit talking about him. So the fact that we keep talking about him is entertainment. So if Pat does really well, he wins a lot of fights, he works his way up the ladder, gets into the UFC one day, he doesn't even have to do that. Dylan Dennis is over at Bellator, and he hasn't fought in 2 years, but he's the entertainment factor. So Scott Coker and them, they know what they're doing. But just know, I don't think it's going to be as forgiving as some of the wrestling people are. We already know Pat, right? Everybody over here, we already know Pat. We followed Pat since high school days. So we know the kind of things that Pat does. So the fact that people say wrestling's unforgiving, this guy's had multiple chances. We'll see if he has those same kind of chances over at the Bellator.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot shorter leash with that much more on the line. Promotions aren't going to really put up with that as much.
Are you going to cheer for him?
Yeah, I want to see him do well. I think it'd be really entertaining. Like, I'm curious to see his trajectory, because win or lose, he'll probably bring more eyes than maybe just a traditional starting out fighter in Bellator. And so I want to see like how that kind of pairs with his like trajectory into the actual league. Yeah,
I mean, if he does well, chances are people are going to go back and watch that interview he did with him.
Yeah,
and the numbers are going to go up.
That's true. Yeah, winning always helps.
Yeah, like they did with Echemendia. They went back and watched that when he went through that.
Yeah,
I don't recommend that.
No.
All right. Well, if you guys like this show, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, a like, a comment. If you want to take it a step further, join the Patreon. Or even just tell Barbarian Apparel that you appreciate that they sponsor the show. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast formats, give us a good review. Or just a review. Just give us a review. Tell Apple, tell Spotify, hey, we like these guys. And that's going to help us in the long run. So we appreciate you guys for tagging along. Tyler, you got any last words?
No, I don't think so. Like you said earlier, we don't really push the podcast part much, but I've looked at the feedback on it before and appreciate all the people who actually take the time to leave a response or a review for our podcast. And so thank you. Yeah, check that out and leave a review if you get on there.
All right. Well, if you guys are not Patreon members or you're watching this on just YouTube, then we thank you for watching. If you are a Patreon member, stay on the line. We have 3 topics that we're going to bring up to you guys. We're going to talk about Adeline Gray's beef with Flo. We're going to talk about Gannon Grimmel coming out of retirement and he's in the transfer portal, and Brady Berge leaving the coach's corner, and now he's going to be in the middle of the mat wrestling again for Penn State. And we're going to talk about Flo Wrestling and that whole Michigan State, Arizona State debacle. Less about that, but more about the production side of things. So if you guys want to listen to the rest of this episode, scroll down, subscribe to the Patreon, $3.99, and it'll be the best $4 that you can spend a month. I guarantee you that. But if this is it, then thank you for watching. We hope to see you guys at the next video.